Let's look at some sentences that we might revise using parametric method, but rather than thinking of it as parametric method, I'd like you to think of it as head first editing, getting a good strong action verb head who does statement on the left hand side right up at the front of the sentence. This is the sentence that I often use, and I can't make these sentences up. These come from actual workplace sentences that have come to me either from students that I've worked with or from editing projects. If we look at this sentence, here's the subject and the verb. There is a great deal of insight and utility in his description of the problem. This is the head of the sentence. There is. Before you see any of the rest of that, that's all you have to deal with. No information of value at all. And look what happens here. A great deal of even insight and utility. We're all the way to here and we have no idea what the head of the sentence really is, what the rhetorical subject, what the sentence is really talking about. How many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, even with that, we still don't know all the way to in his. When I ask students to edit this, they almost always offer this first one here. His description of the problem. This is the full subject of the sentence grammatically. And then they provide or supply an appropriate verb, usually an action verb, offers or shows a great deal of insight and utility. So description of the problem shows insight and utility. That's a stronger version than this one, which we'll put an X by and we'll put a check down here, because we've got problem offers. Compare the information value of that with the first sentence. There is no information value there. I think it's significant that the phrase description of the problem is at the end of the first sentence, and usually 3/4 of a class of students will take that phrase, identify it as the rhetorical subject, move it to the front of the sentence, put it in the grammatical subject position, so there's a match of rhetorical and grammatical subjects, and then put in a verb. There's another way to edit it, which would be, if it is more important who does the action than what is described, you might make it he describes. An even stronger who does statement. But again, it's not necessarily better than the first one. You'd have to read the sentences around it to see what the rhetoric is, what the author's really trying to talk about. If problem should be the subject, put it in the subject position. If the person who does the describing of the problem should be the subject, put it in the subject position. But either of these sentences is a great improvement over there is a great deal of insight and utility. Now, why would people write this way? Where does this writing come from? Well, let's look at another workplace parametric method sentence. In this one, we've got a noun here. These look like nouns, but they're adjectives with this noun. International, here's another noun. Negotiations that have been convened to address technology, another noun. Issues associated with regime, another noun. Another noun down here, treaty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nouns and several adjectives, some of which look like they might be nouns, and we don't know what the rhetorical subject is. The participation of a DOE sponsored technical expert at. Boy, if we did parametric method, here's a prepositional phrase, comes all the way down to here. Another prepositional phrase here. Another one that's like an infinitive, but it's really a prepositional phrase. Here's another one down here. Lots of red in this sentence. Before we get to provided, this is the actual verb, and it turns out this is the actual subject. Participation has provided. Lots of problems with this sentence. First of all, it basically has a broken head. The subject is up here, participation, and then there's all this stuff, a bag o' nouns. Noun, 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 prepositional phrases before we get to the verb, has provided. So the head is severed in two. How would we edit this? Well, we take a look at it and we give it a strong head, a subject and an action predicate. DOE receives a who does statement. Now I'll read it and I think you'll see that much of the same bag-o-noun stuff is here, but when that is in the stuff, the object, the stuff that comes after the verb, a reader can understand it because the who does gives us contexts, gives us a head first sentence. DOE receives timely reporting regarding technology issues from its technical expert attending the international negotiations associated with the monitoring regime for the Treaty on Open Skies. Now you might be saying, well, why did I pick DOE as the subject? When you have the whole paper in front of you, you can read around these offending sentences, figure out what the subject really should be, what the rhetorical subject is, put it in the grammatical subject position. It's a parametric method process, but I think it's probably better to think of it as Joseph Williams's head first, who does, an action verb and a character acting, DOE receives type of edit. Why do people write this way? We want to do it because it clarifies who does what and to whom, or in this case, regarding. DOE as the subject, receives as the predicate, a good action verb, timely reporting, all that stuff that comes after the verb. So what parametric method and what head first editing does is it creates strong predication, the linking of a subject with an action predicate. And actually this is the key to clear writing at the sentence level. Head first, strong subject and action predicate. Readers are looking for predication. That's this term here. Some grammar books will tell you that the linking of the subject with an action predicate, they'll use this term, predication. Other grammar books will use different terms, but let's start with predication. That's what readers are looking for. In fact, we could make a bumper sticker here for editors. Put it on the back of your car. Honk if you need predication. The fact is, all readers need predication. That's what we're looking for, the who does statement. And we hold those nouns in our memory, waiting for that predicate, for that verb to hit, so that we get a who does statement.